The second beast was permitted to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship it to be killed. So I explained that the book of Revelation has happened, but it's going to happen again. So during the Inquisition, the true followers of Yahushua Mashiach were killed. They were martyred. So our books were taken, burned, rewritten, and books removed. Now it will repeat itself, but with the church. The church is not from Yah. Rome gave you the church. That's why the church will be prosecuted and not the bride. And that's why they say that she got drunk on the blood of the saints. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads. So this beast coming out of the sea gave the Pope authority to spread this false religion throughout the world. Remember, he comes out of the sea.
First symbol that I want to talk about is the headdress that the Pope or the Bishop of Rome wears. That symbol goes back at least 5,000 years. The strange and interesting headdress that the Pope wears is impacted by a god named Dagon. Dagon was a fish god. We have a god who's half fish and half man. So now we see the Pope's headdress, but when turned, you then see he's actually wearing a fish head because he's representing the worship of an ancient Phoenician god. And that very powerful mystical god is still dominating the spirit and the intellectual thinking of religion even to today.
Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe of people, language, and nation. And all who dwell on the earth would worship it. So the ones they weren't were killed. So the cross is the image that they gave to the world. Yahushua HaMashiach was hung to the tree. They nailed him to the tree, and from the tree he hung. So I made this video. You can find it on YouTube. She got drunk on the blood of the saints. And it covers the reading about Maccabees. Also on TikTok, as you can see, they are Cyril, because they don't want this information to go out. I also want to add this. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction. So there is a broad path that leads to destruction, but there's a narrow path, a narrow way that leads you home. So don't be deceived when you see ministries like mine. They have very few views and very few followers because I know what's behind these apps. But I will be mindful of the ones that have thousands and thousands of views and followers. I've seen a lot of these people that have these apps with a lot of followers and views, and they're witches, warlocks, and masons. Yeah. And a lot of them have a divination spirit. That's why they know what's going to happen. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, and that includes the cross. Constantine and the cross. The Roman Empire Constantine the Great. He saw a cross in the sky and heard a voice saying, by this time thou shalt conquer. So remember, he gave the world a cross. In the Constantine's Creed, right there, in order to become a Christian, you will have to give up the true Sabbath day and our feast days, and the name of our Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach. So in the reading of 2 Corinthians, it tells you that they will give you another Jesus. I had come in my Father's name, and you did not accept me. But if someone else come in his own name, you accept him. So when you read 1 Maccabees, that's exactly the Constantine's Creed. They made us give up our feast days, our Sabbath days, 1 Maccabees, and one of the books that were removed, by the way. So Madonna had a concert on May 4th in Brazil. So this is a ritual, and she's a witch. And anyone that attended that concert, you were under a witch's covenant. So not only is she wearing the cross, but she also has a Freemason symbol. And she did a reading from the Bible. Yeah, exactly. The so-called Star of David. And you see the crosses all over the stage? Yeah. It's for the cube of Saturn worship. They all do it. The Khazarians do it. They wear it on their head. The Muslims do it. They walk around the box, the cube of Allah. And the cross is also on. And you know how they make you cross your head, right? Notice how the Masons also have a Bible? You know witches and santeros use the Bible, right? And they're Christian witches. And if you grew up on the islands, then you know that you could do santeria and have a Bible in your house.
translated the King James Authorized Version? Rosicrucians and Freemasons. Yeah, and once you understand, wait a minute, the Bible is a Masonic book. Of course it's a Masonic book. How many people know that the symbols in Islam are taken directly out of the Old Testament Bible? And that Mecca is the black cube of Freemasonry. Mecca is a black square. Look it up. The planet Saturn. Saturn was referred to as the black cube. And the more they pray, the more blood is spilled. The more violence and bloodshed builds each day. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And the more they pray, the worse it gets. And Christians all over the world are praying to God's Son, the light of the world, and they have no idea what they're praying to. They have no concept of the world, of what they're praying to, and consequently, all of the evil is winning. Good people are losing. Knights Templars, Masonic, Freemasons are winning. They're controlling the world. Why? Because we're worshiping the wrong God. Because we don't understand what the symbols mean. Because we walk right past the truth sitting right in front of us and end up worshiping something that the Knights Templars have given us to worship. And therefore, we haven't got the faintest idea in the world what's going on.
Satan, the adversary of Yah, also known as Satona. Saturn in Spanish is Saturno. Saturn.